On March 8th, 2019, my friend Dosvi asked Derek Simsek and me to join him for dinner at this place called Tarzani Jane. Inside, you'll find one room that essentially has it all. The open kitchen with the hearth, as well as the slightly curved seating area, houses everything the team needs to execute the tasting menu that happens just 3 days per week here. Sundays are for paella, but that's for another episode. We're here for the former. They presented the most extensive list of gin and tonics I've ever seen, each with different garnishes and aromatics. I went with the Toronja, which is scented with vanilla, curry, orange, and clove. The gin and tonic is one of my most favorite drinks of all time anyways, so I really enjoyed this aspect to start the meal. This is a wet towel. Don't eat that. One of the best parts of eating with this guy is seeing his creative process on the menus take shape. Now I want to direct your attention here to a really unique step of service where Aaliyah, Chef Perfecte's wife, gets the attention of the full dining room and shares stories and describes the dishes to guests collectively instead of party by party. This will continue throughout our entire meal. Snacks came first. Here in the bowl is a reishi mushroom consomme with radish. Next to that, a really unique service piece littered with sardines, crispy rabbit ear, botifara, idiazabal cookie, butternut squash chips, a really fun play on tapas to start the meal. And right around here is when the menu got interesting. Aaliyah explained to us that we would be getting the tasting menu in reverse of traditional order, which meant our first plate was this: Snake River Farms Gold Wagyu Zabuton, Umeboshi, and Celeriac. As a little sidecar to that, this is an aerated stout bun, sobrasada, and peach preserve. Fantastic flavor and texture on the bun. I did have to voice some criticism on the way that the beef was presented though, because it's grilled and then rested, and then the entire staff basically gathers to do one fluid service motion, and then you have to wait for the explanation. The dish reached my mouth cold, which is a bit of a bummer, especially when the big meat on a tasting menu is usually that crescendo moment. Now, I haven't had a mindfuck moment in a while, but this definitely accomplished that. Inside this glass is a ferment of Tuscan kale stems, and I joke you not, it had the body, the aroma, and the acidity of a funky vegetal Riesling, and I'm still trying to figure out how they did it. This is rockfish that's been cooked over the fire, preserved green walnut and basil. The fish texture was on point, seasoning was there. I didn't get a ton of wow from the green walnut, but it was a simple, well-executed dish nonetheless. A small taste of a red wine from Spain that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce here. It was delicious. Next up, a play on the Filipino tikoy, pumpkin rice cake, spirulina, and an Empire apple sphere that we were instructed to eat first. Fun ways to manipulate ingredients for sure, and maybe I don't have a proper reference point for the tikoy, but this dish fell a bit flat for me. A gift from Perfecte here, a beautiful anchovy fillet just served in its shiny, oily glory. This is one of their signature moves, pastanaga, carrot in textures. It's served with crispy kale on top. I personally thought there were dishes on this menu that were more conceptually sound than this, but I recall reading the article where the reviewer praised this dish, so it makes sense that it's still on the menu. A Monopole Classico from Rioja here. They add about 10% manzanilla sherry to this. It's so strange going from red to white in a tasting menu, but it absolutely challenged me and my thoughts on the tasting menu flow. Going lighter still on the dishes, we've got a Virginica oyster here. It's actually an East Coast varietal that's raised here in the Pacific Northwest. It's served with fermented licorice and nasturtium. On the side, a Mediterranean mussel explosion garnished with mint. Next up, Kaluga Queen caviar that's served on top of a gooey duck shawanmushi. Delicate and tender custard, great woody herb garnish, and the caviar was of great quality. This is a spinach flour, in quotes, served with fermented tempeh and Fresno chili. Crisped buckwheat as well. After seeing the texture of that spinach sauce on top, I was a little nervous to pick this up and eat it, but the base had great structure to hold up that silky smooth sauce. I really enjoyed this one. Another generous gift from Perfecte here, the signature deep water gambas cooked over the fire. Tons of flavor in the succulent meat as well as the head. I love this move of smearing the paste on the outside to manipulate the flavor as you eat it. A smoked beet salad with that classic combination of goat cheese and candied walnut. In front, a one-biter of, I can only assume, cocoa butter as the shell with a savory beet filling. Next to that, a beet puree garnished with pickles and caramelized walnut. This was definitely a bit of a technique flex. I didn't really see the benefit in separating this presentation into two separate things. I actually missed the reason that this works so well, which is sweet and sour and kind of lactic salty, playing off of one another. The flavors here were muddy and, to me, over-manipulated. I really enjoyed these next two dishes, but first we have to talk about this fava bean wine. Seriously, another mind-blown moment. They take the husks of the beans and ferment them, and this, no joke, tastes like sherry. I can't tell you how or why, but I'm going with magic. Pine ice cream with activated charcoal, inspired by Perfecte's foraging in his childhood, this was a delicious dessert, not just like something that makes you feel like you're in the forest kind of thing. A play on a Norwegian presentation, a crumb-kake ice cream sandwich, hazelnut ice cream in the middle, and dots of West Coast produced maple syrup, something I've never had before. Definitely those flavors I love, but haven't experienced in a while, came through here, and it held up structurally as well, with that thin shell being an ice cream sandwich. This is a truffle and balsamic ice cream bar. The ice cream is Marcona almond. It's inspired by garlic soup in Spain that's thickened with almonds. If you pick out those green dots on this as well, that's parsley puree, which I thought was really unique. Last up from Mignardi's, shiso coffee cake with lemon curd, dark chocolate truffles, sweet and sour olive oil gummy bears, Valencian almond nougat, and carob orange cookies. Most of you folks know I really have a sweet tooth, and I love sweet presentations like this, and I thought that the flavors of each one were different enough to stand apart on their own. Beautiful custom menu presentation here with your name on the golden envelope. Lovely hospitality from Perfecte, showing off this 26-pound rockfish carcass that they're drying over the fire, if you remember that course. Overall, this unique style of tasting menu was not wasted on me. It actually really made me take a step back and think about structure in all art forms. And it's not about going from lightest to heaviest, but I think this was definitely a decision that I don't 100% agree with artistically when they serve it in reverse. There was so much to enjoy in this meal: stellar technique, truly unique flavor marrying that I never have experienced before, cultural nuance from childhood, and all the other details you expect in a higher-end tasting menu. But I was personally more impressed with some of the non-alcoholic beverage pairings than anything else. I hope to return to Tarzani Jane again for a different format of the menu, maybe on Paella Day, or maybe if they trim or restructure their tasting menu, but for now I'm considering this an amazing showcase of some incredible cooking happening in Ballard. You unfortunately don't get to see a check because I didn't either. Shout out to Dazvi for allowing me to be his guest at this complimentary experience. Get some color on that like button if you enjoy videos like this. Thank you so much for your attention. My name is Justin Khanna. Have a good one.